Well, I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too.
How rude!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally here. Rockman X DiVE's release date has finally been revealed, and the pre-registration event has officially begun. But let's not beat around the bush. The release date seems to be March 4th, 2020, which is now less than a month away. It's not the February date we were hoping for, but that's still pretty close, and it is actually only a week and a day out from Mega Man 0 and ZX Legacy Collection. Isn't that wild that we're getting two Mega Man game releases so close to each other? Pre-registration is now available on both the Google Play and Apple's App Store, where you can preload the game early. Keep in mind, however, that at the time of recording this video, the game is only available in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Australia, and India. That's it, nothing for us North Americans just yet. But they do say that other countries will soon be able to preload as well in the future. So things are looking good for that global release. Now, the Rockman X DiVE Facebook page doesn't exactly say the release date outright. The March 4th date comes to us via the App Store listing. And if you take a closer look at the screenshots here, you will notice that on the title screen it says OBT, or in other words, Open Beta Test. So with that alone, it's unclear if March 4th means that's when the Open Beta Test starts, or whether the Open Beta Test will happen prior to the launch during February. The official pages aren't mentioning the Open Beta Test at the moment, so we can only guess that March 4th is indeed the release date. It is not uncommon, however, for mobile games to use a open beta test to sort of soft launch their game. Rockman Corner reports that the first in-game event is supposed to happen on March 14th, so one would hope that the game should be out by then, just so that people can dive into the game and get acquainted with it before the first event starts. It's worth noting that this announcement, along with other announcements such as 2 new monsters for Monster Hunter World Iceborne, were seemingly originally set to be revealed at Taipei Game Show. However, the game show was postponed to the summer due to concerns with the coronavirus going on. So that's why we're getting the announcement today of all days, since today was supposed to be day 1 at the Taipei Game Show. The store page goes over a lot of the details we already know about the game, like the characters, the weapons, boss chips, co-op and PvP modes, and all that good jazz. Except for the mention of the beam sickle from Grim Reaper's Sigma. We actually already had a beam sickle weapon in the closed beta test, so I guess Sigma is where it comes from. But as for the system requirements, for you Apple users, the game is actually pretty small at 173 megabytes, and you will need an iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch with iOS version 9.0 or later. For Android users such as myself, it merely says that you will need Android version 6.0 or later. The size of the game is going to vary with the device according to the listing, though I would imagine the size isn't going to be much bigger than the iOS version, if at all. But hey, you can play the game on both Android and iOS, and the iOS people were really hoping the game would be on there. They already announced it would be to begin with, but iOS users did have to miss out on the closed beta test, so cool that everyone can play now. Now let's talk about the pre-registration event itself. First of all, by heading to the website, which we will have the link to in the description below, you can follow these 3 steps in order to get Elia in the game when it launches. So there's a little head start for you. In order to get Elia, you need to log into Facebook and like the Mega Man X DiVE fan page. Then you pre-download the game via either the App Store or the Google Play Store. Then enter your email on the website, the email that you're going to use when you play the game, and then you should get an email with your code to get Elia when the game launches. In addition, they're also running an event where all the players can get additional rewards depending on how many people pre-register for the game. The early tiers just has extra elemental medals, which is the premium currency in the game, which you will use for the gacha, oh yes. But most notably, at 100,000 people, we will get the ZX Saber, which is an awesome looking weapon. At 200,000, we get the Falcon Buster, and at 300,000, which is the final goal, we'll get 200 elemental medals and the Gatling. Yeah, just the bog standard Gatling. Kinda underwhelming for the final prize, but hey. And it does mention that you get dirty chips for each of these weapons, which since these are all A-class weapons, that should be enough to just get the weapon outright. The second pre-registration event has to deal with inviting your friends to pre-download the game. First you pre-register yourself, then you use the share link to invite your Facebook friends, and yes, this is only for Facebook unfortunately. But if you can get your friends to click on the link and pre-register themselves, you'll be entered to win an Asus ROG Phone 2, AirPods Pro, Keisuke Mizuno autograph, and or a Rockman X DiVE limited t-shirt. Okay, now let's address the elephant in the room. Or should we say the ballistics in the room. Yup, Iris is definitely in the game like we talked about before. And we have new artwork of her accompanied by a bunch of new artwork that's part of the new title screen key art. Yep, this is some top-notch stuff. I mean, just look at that art of Vile. Very, very cool. The other characters include Cinnamon, Zero, X, Axel, Alia, Marno, and Rico, our navigator. Considering everyone here are playable characters in the game, it's safe to assume Iris will indeed be playable as well. After all, the artwork in the title screen key art here is not the same as the one that was teased the other day. There's definitely a difference in proportions there, wouldn't you say? As for how the heck Iris is going to work in X DiVE, she could be by herself, just give her the old Gatling gun and go, or she could use her right armor from X4 as part of her skills, or maybe both. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Now let's have some more fun by looking at some new screenshots and videos posted by the developers. Here's the title screen again, and like we said, it does say OBT or Open Beta Test, which is the only mention we've seen about the Open Beta Test. There's been no official announcements about it. And the next screenshot is a similar one we've seen before on previous versions of the listings, but something is different, especially in the screenshot featuring the Scorpion from X7. In this image, there is a third attack button. Now for a little background story, myself and some other players had a glitch during the closed beta test where randomly if you entered a stage, you would spawn with X's equipment, but then there will be a third icon next to the attack buttons with a question mark. In the closed beta test, they do mention that there is an ability you can unlock called the dive trigger, which we don't know all the details about just yet, but it seems to be a giga attack that you can do depending on the chip that you have equipped. In this case, the screenshot is showing off the electric spark from X1, and this was actually a reward that you can get parts for during the closed beta test. We just couldn't get the full package to actually use it. So yeah, we have a lot of different options in terms of attacking in this game. We got the two skills that come unique to each character, the main weapon, sub weapon, boss chip, and now the dive trigger. Oh boy, button mapping is gonna be fun. And although it is a lot of buttons, the developers do say that you can shrink the size of the buttons, especially if you're going to play on a controller anyways, so that they don't fill too much of the screen like it does here. You can also notice that the placement of the buttons are different too, and that's another thing you can do. You can reposition all the buttons around the screen however you like. And that's pretty much all the interesting stuff we can get from the store pages. However, notice that in this screenshot they say all Mega Man series characters gathering. Yeah, not just Mega Man X, Mega Man series, meaning everybody. In the past we talked about how characters outside of the X series is going to be playable in X DiVE. And the first one may even be the first event, but we're not 100% on that. But I wonder who the first non-X character is going to be. That's a tough one. Last week we got the new videos on the Capcom Taiwan YouTube channel. Now most of these are old news covering the modes that we played during the closed beta test, but there are two videos in particular that shows new content. The first one is the Versus Mode trailer, It shows a new stage for the 1v1 player versus player mode, this time featuring the Central Highway. That gives kind of a Smash Brothers vibe, with the then slanted and floating platforms. But man, these arenas are huge for 1v1. I do wonder if these stages were originally designed with the 3v3 mode in mind, which it probably is. It's just that in the closed beta test, the 3v3 mode was just literally capture the flag. Otherwise, not much to say here, other than I can't see a place where the player might be able to hide behind one of the screens in front of the two boxes. And you might be able to do the same on the above platform to the top right as well. Might not be the most useful thing ever, but it is interesting, I suppose. Then we have challenge mode, which we did play back in the closed beta test. However, we only had access to the B-Blader fight at that point. This time the trailer shows off Chill Penguin's fight, but he's not where we thought he would be. If you remember, back when they revealed Chill Penguin, he was advertised as the boss for Storm Owl's stage, the Air Force stage. But here in challenge mode, he's somewhere completely different, being Cyber Peacock's stage, which we are seeing video of for the very first time too. Another X4 stage. Why Chill Penguin is here and not in the stage he was supposed to be is anyone's guess. All I can say is Rockman X DiVE sure loves their deep log errors. They're getting really meta about it now. At the very least, we get to see a 3D rendition of Cyber Peacock's room and a closer look at the penguin himself. Very cool. Oh yes, don't worry, he still comes with his signature hook. Oh ho ho ho, but that's not all. Because the website got a complete overhaul, and that includes a new character section with the reveal of 2 new characters and information for some we didn't know too much about before. Now these 2 characters were either teased or data mined beforehand, but let's take a look at them, starting with Black Zero. The website says firstly appeared in Mega Man X2, or firstly appears. Black Zero was a replica produced by Sigma and defeated by the original Zero afterwards. However, Black Zero is not a fake in Rockman X DiVE, but came from another mode of X. That is, after Dr. Light released X's potential power, Black Zero was born. So Black Zero is a byproduct of X's infinite potential or something? Okay then. Anyway, here are his skills. We got Raikkosen from X8, charge forward, inflicting damage along the path and rendering the targets immobile, and Z Flasher from X5. He hits the ground to scatter multiple light rounds. Each light round can inflict damage. It can penetrate 1 additional target. So it's a bit of an upgrade version of Raikoha. And here's a screenshot of Black Zero in the game. You can see some of his stats, such as the fact that his attack stat is off the charts. Also in the screenshot we can see that there are 2 question marks at the bottom, and it's kind of easy to tell that the question marks are photoshopped in. So what are those 2 characters? Giga Armor X, Classic Mega Man, any of the other ones like Lair or something? Who knows? While we also have images for Ferrum and Cinnamon, as well as the other character we're about to talk about, Burst Armor X. Yep, he was teased in that image with the S-Rank character for the Weapon Design Contest entrance, and here he is in the flesh. The website says Burst Armor X made his debut in Mega Man X with pure white color. This armor was the first one X has ever had. Although its performance isn't as good as the armors thereafter, it's no doubt a great progress to X at the time, which is pretty much what I said myself whenever First Armor X came up. The skills consist of the Spiral Blast Shot. Excuse me, that's the Tapeworm Shot? Launches an energy shot to inflict a tad damage on the target, and he may gather power for a powerful shot. At maximum charge, Spiral energy shots are launched which periodically release a shockwave and damage all targets on impact. If that multi-hits, that's gonna be crazy. His second skill is literally the Headbutt, which is the only use for the head part. Crush the enemies with the hardened head armor, deal an attack damage and inducing defense weakened state. X, use Headbutt! It was super effective. I can't wait to see that animation, it's probably gonna look goofy. Aside from our new characters, we now have skill info for Massimo, Ferrum, and Cinnamon. Let's take a look at Massimo's skills first. We have Whirlwind, inflicts damage to targets within range, pretty simple. And then this is one I actually called myself in my analysis. the Berserk Charge, which was his action trigger in command mission. Shoots a huge beam forward, inflicting damage to targets within range. And if this is faithful to the original game, it might be able to inflict status effects too. Either way, really cool to see his action trigger represented here. Firearm skills consist of the Blood Snake, inflict attack damage to targets within range, so basically a whip attack. I mean, she does have a whip after all. And then the Crimson Shadow, which she also used in her boss fight and command mission. Leaves a clone at the spot and gains invisibility, which prevents enemies from locating you but does not render you immune to damage. The invisibility wears off when you launch an attack. Well, that's kinda lame. I mean, unless it also disables other people's lock-on, because the invisibility becomes useless if the people can just lock on to your position regardless. Cinnamon skills has the Syringe, throws a virus syringe to inflict attack damage to the target and weakens the target's attack damage, gains a heart. And the second one is Angel Aura. All friendly units within range acquire enhanced damage, which increases the damage dealt. When you have a heart, it is consumed to apply enhanced defense that reduces damage. Okay, so what you do is use the syringe first to get a heart, and then the more hearts you have, the better Angel Aura is. At least that's what I get from this. It's kind of weird to have a currency on the character, but alright, cool. The last thing to talk about on the website is the events, which is listed under the system page. So we talked about this before, where you could kind of set the difficulty to get more Zenny, experience, or materials. From what the website says, there will be limited time events to where you could do certain stages or things to get more rewards like the Zenny, the experience, and the materials. So I guess that's how that works. Pretty neat. There's also some UI updates you can see, like on the mission screen here. Nice little X drawing. And then we have this page that's part of the lab. And it looks like we have yet another thing to level up. Yep, it's the dive triggers. We've already talked about Electric Spark from X1. In this case, it shoots an electric wall forward and backward, inflicting 448% damage to targets along the wall's paths. And then there's some other ones here, like I see an E-Tank, maybe Ray Arrow from X6, Steel Shot from X5, but I'm not 100% sure. Either that or something like Sonic Slicer. It seems like a lot of these are based off actual Maverick weapons, and then a couple other ones at the bottom. So oh boy, this game is going to have a lot of grinding. It actually looks like that as you progress, you'll be able to branch off to other dive triggers from the Electric Spark. Like once it's level 25, you can select the two in the middle. At level 55, you select the one that looks like the C-Shot, and so on. Interesting. Well folks, that wraps up all we got for Rockman X DiVE today. Are y'all excited for the March 4th release of the game? And are you going to be pre-registering? Just keep in mind that the pre-registering is only available for Asian countries and Australia right now. But the Western preloading should come soon, and we will let you guys know via a comment down below whenever it goes live. Well, our condolences to the rumored Valentine's costumes, but at least it won't be too long before this game is finally out. Those 2 weeks between 0 and ZX Legacy Collection and X DiVE itself is going to be pretty epic, and not to mention very busy for those of us here at ShadowRockZX. But hey, thanks for watching, and of course for more on Rockman X DiVE and other things Mega Man, stay tuned to ShadowRockZX. Until next time, rock on and have yourselves an excellent day.